Dr. Brennan, your thoughts about Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, Nicole, I think you and Tom Nichols have done a great job just underscoring all the concerns that people have about this appointment. Clearly, Tulsi Gabbard has taken actions, made statements over the past several years that really raise serious questions about her common sense, her judgment, as well as her political sympathies. Cozying up to Putin as well as to meeting with Bashar Assad, I think really does show that she doesn't have the type of perspective that is needed for somebody who's going to head up these 18 intelligence agencies. And as Tom Nichols said, she doesn't have any qualifications. The Director of National Intelligence, that's a really serious position and a very complex and complicated one that requires somebody who actually has an understanding of the intelligence community. It's like an orchestra conductor of all the different agencies and departments that are involved in the intelligence process. And I don't think she understands even the instruments that are involved in this orchestra, nor has she had any experience at the strategic level of running and leading a large, complex organization. And the Director of National Intelligence is, according to legislation, the president's principal intelligence advisor, the person who is responsible for making sure that the president's daily brief is put together in a very sound and forthright manner, the person who puts together the budget and the priorities of the intelligence community. So I know that this appointment is sending shockwaves here in the United States, but also around the globe in terms of, is this really somebody who Donald Trump is going to entrust with the care and the leadership of the intelligence community?
Joining me here at Courageous Media, you just saw Brennan going off on Tulsi Gabbard before her appointment as the Director of National Intelligence several months ago, right after President Trump's election, but before the inauguration and before she was actually confirmed. Well, we can see now where Brennan's fear lied. It had nothing to do with the fact that Tulsi was unqualified in his eyes. It had nothing to do with the fact that she hadn't been a spook her whole life. No, it had everything to do with the fact that she was forthright and honest. In the words of one director of operations of the CIA, a fake one, in Clear and Present Danger, she was a Boy Scout, or in this case, a Girl Scout. And Brennan knew that if she got in that position, she was not going to sit idly by and allow the cover-up of one of the greatest scandals in U.S. history to continue. No, John Brennan was terrified not of Tulsi Gabbard's experience or lack of experience or anything thereof. He was terrified that she was not a deep state stooge like he was. He was terrified that she was not in the back pockets of the Democrat Party or the globalist cabal of corruptocrats like he was. She was not sold out to destroy America, the American Republic, and the American government like he was. Now, Brennan is an absolute snake, an operative. He's been nothing but that, I believe, his entire career. Now, maybe when he was first in the CIA or a first operative, maybe not. But what he has become is nothing less than an absolute viper. One that hates America, one that hates Trump, one that hates the Republican Party, one that hates all Americans. No, he is sold out to a different master. And Tulsi Gabbard is now exposing all these people for exactly who they are. It is beautiful to see. It is absolutely fantastic. So we've got big news today because there's been another drop of more classified information. And this one takes a really surprising turn. Before we get into that, welcome in everybody. I really appreciate everybody rolling up. Please smash that like button, turn on the notifications. If you've already subscribed to our channel, please go check your notifications because we got a lot of reports of YouTube turning those off so you don't know when we post new content. But please do that. Also comment. Let us know you're here in the comments. Let us know how we're doing so that we can bust out of this YouTube box, the algorithm box that we are in, as begin to rebuild our channel so that we can have an impact on America moving forward. Thanks so much for being here. Let's dive right in to the newest release of docs from Tulsi Gabbard.
Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley is out with a new batch of documents pertaining to the Trump-Russia investigation. And the newly declassified documents were allegedly held in burn bags in a secret room at FBI headquarters. Those would be containers that hold classified docs meant to be destroyed after a specified time. It's 29 pages, an annex or addendum to the 2023 Durham report. exposing a report.
Now let's stop right there. Let's get into this burn bag situation, because that has been one of the big conspiracies not conspiracy. That's one of the big parts of the bombshell report that's been rolling around the internet today. The fact that all these docs, of which most of them do not have a duplicate, were slated for destruction. Now there's two questions to ask. One, why weren't they already destroyed? Why were they slated for destruction? In other words, why were they not going to be preserved? If the FBI was under no wrongdoing in this entire conspiracy, why destroy them at all? No. What this smacks of, I think, is two things. One, these documents were supposed to be destroyed because it was part of the cover-up, so that no one would ever know what the Obama administration, along with the Clinton campaign, along with their willing, treasonous accomplices in Brennan as Director of National Intelligence, Clapper in the CIA, Comey in the FBI, and others did to undermine the US Republic, the US government, and the incoming Trump administration. Now, these were supposed to be destroyed. So there's two elements of quote unquote conspiracy or bombshell here. One, that they were supposed to be destroyed. Two, that they were not. Because realize what normally happens with a burn bag is that when you are done with your classified material, you put your copy or your classified material in a burn bag. It is then walked to an incinerator by armed security to make sure that it is gone. They're not left around, but these were found in a hidden away skiff in an annex in the FBI. Now, a skiff, for those of you who don't know, is a secure compartmented information facility. In other words, it's essentially walled off. It's a room. It's a facility that is walled off from the outside world. It is locked. It is secure. There are no cameras. There is no internet. There is nothing. That room is completely sheltered from any type of electronic surveillance. Now, these things were stored ostensibly. I think there's two potential stories to this. One, somebody that they were slated to be destroyed, and just through the incompetence, I believe the God-willed incompetence of people in the FBI that were supposed to destroy them, they got left behind. Or this could be the work of actual America-loving whistleblowers that said, hey, they're trying to destroy this stuff, we got to hide it. And they just snuck it away, put it in a skiff, and thankfully, no one ever found it until now. But we've got these documents being released that once again point the finger squarely at Obama and Clinton and Brennan and Clapper and Comey.
Clinton campaign plot to falsely tie President Trump to Russia. Here's Chairman Grassley.
I think we need maximum transparency on all the schemes that were going on 10 years ago to either stop Trump from being elected or after he was elected to ruin his presidency. And that's what this Durham report is all about. It was all effort of total distraction and to make it look like Russia was playing a very major role in helping Trump to be elected, and now we know none of that was true. And now with this Durham report annex out, it finally proves that the FBI was covering up.
Look, the story started breaking right before those comments, so those were Grassley's first reactions to this less than an hour ago. Justice correspondent David Spunt now. David.
Well, hi, Harris. Special counsel John Durham's investigation into the origins of the Trump-Russia narrative began in 2019, ended 4 years later in 2023. Now, he took two people to trial, lost both times, but he did, Harris, secure a plea deal with a former FBI lawyer. Durham's final report, a 300-page document. Here he is in 2023.
Our findings were sobering. I can tell you, having spent 40 years plus as a federal prosecutor, they were particularly sobering to me.
Now, for the first time, we're seeing this class.
Now, I will say that a lot of this information is a big black eye to Durham. What the hell were you doing as special counsel all this time? You brought two minor, indictments, and you lost both of them. Now, the losing part I understand, because you're actually trying to try these things inside of the Biden Justice Department, which was hardly ever going to let anything go forward. But as special counsel, you had all this information at your fingertips. You shouldn't have just issued a report and moved on. You should have been on every major news channel talking to the American people about the fact that this scandalous, treasonous, seditious conspiracy had taken place and who was behind it. And when you weren't allowed to prosecute everybody, you should have been on the news channels saying, I need to bring indictments, bring the indictments, and then say, I can't convict because of the Biden justice system covering this up and actually enabling the criminals. Where were you, Durham? Wow.
Declassified now annex. It's 29 pages. It discusses more allegations and information about the Clinton campaign's alleged efforts to discredit then-candidate Trump. Durham obtained emails via Russian intelligence, and the emails were allegedly written by a man named Leonard with the Open Society Foundation. That's the foundation tied to George Soros. According to the annex, Leonard writes about a Clinton campaign advisor named Julianne. She's also referred to by Julie and Julia. One of the emails says, Julie says it will be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into the fire. In another email obtained by Durham, Leonard allegedly wrote, HRC, meaning Hillary Rodham Clinton, approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. Now, Mr. Durham interviewed Julie, who told him that she didn't draft.
So you've got concrete proof that this was a premeditated, pre-orchestrated hoax, one that is treasonous and seditious, one that was designed to cover up Hillary Clinton's own bountiful crimes, massive crimes, her massive mishandling of classified information that should have landed her in prison for years, and then used to completely derail a U.S. sitting president. These people all need to end up in prison. And we're going to get to that in a minute.
After recall receiving any of these Leonard emails, the annex goes on to explain that the FBI was fully alerted to the possibility that at least some of the information it received about the Trump campaign might have origins with the Clinton campaign or Russian disinformation. But the FBI apparently dismissed that information, quote, as not credible without any investigative steps actually having been taken to either corroborate.
So the FBI basically moved to cover it all up. Now we've come to further information. As it turns out, how a lot of these emails came to be was it was not the Russians who hacked the Hillary Clinton server, as CrowdStrike and others have said. No. That was probably an inside job. No, what the Russians were able to do was they hacked a couple of people close to Hillary Clinton that uncovered these emails. Now the Russians did not give these emails away. They didn't let anybody know. No, the fact was, there were two spies from the Netherlands who were spying on the Russian spies. And when the Russian spies hacked the emails of these two, adjacent operatives, the Netherlands spies became aware of it and they reported it to the Obama administration, who promptly did nothing, who promptly turned it over to the FBI, who said, oh, nothing to see here because we can't prosecute Hillary for her ridiculous treatment of classified information. Oh, and we're trying to destroy the Trump presidency at the same time. Now, Tulsi Gabbard weighed in on all of this. She was on the Glenn Beck program. She has a lot of very interesting things to say. Let's dive right into that before we check in with Megyn Kelly. As we do, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. Here we go.
And what is still yet to come. As I look at the stuff that has, in the declassified documents of Russiagate, it confirms what many of us have already known. Are you surprised at anything at the media not reporting any of this? I mean, we've known a lot of this, but now the media is absolutely silent on it. And people seem to be deleting posts and no longer commenting online. What's happening?
Yes, I am not surprised that the mainstream media is refusing to cover this. And if they do mention it, their approach is to try to diminish the effect and the impact of the revelations, the historic revelations that were found in the documents that we declassified and released, or to try to bring voice to detractors and critics who also just say, oh, well, this is bizarre or this is crazy. But when you actually look at the coverage and you look at some of the comments and the quotes that the mainstream media may be choosing to publish or highlight, They're not actually getting after the very specific pieces of evidence that were released that quote people like John Brennan, who was the CIA director, and James Clapper, who was Obama's director of national intelligence. They are not giving voice to the intelligence professionals who, in these reports that we released, were protesting against the very malicious actions that people like Brennan and Clapper were taking at President Obama's direction to create this intelligence assessment that was filled with falsehoods. They're not giving voice to these intelligence professionals because they recognize that it would push forward a very inconvenient truth for the mainstream media because it exposes their complicity in pushing this lie and this hoax from not only day one, but throughout President Trump's entire first administration.
And all of these people are still, I mean, Brennan, Clapper, they have been the source on so many things, and they're in with the media. And I wonder if this is just part of more of the same, that they're asking them, is there anything to this? And they say, no, there's not. In fact, it's a whatever. And then I also wonder.
Of course, that's what Brennan and Clapper and Comey and all of them are doing. It's the same playbook they ran when they first instituted this treasonous, seditious hoax. Oh, no, nothing to see here. There's nothing going on. No, absolutely ridiculous. No, absolutely. Trump is a Putin agent. Trump is a Russian agent. Trump is a stooge. All of that. Then they moved on when it was clear that that was only going to derail Trump for a couple of years, 22 months or so. When it was clear that even by putting Mueller, that ridiculous puppet, in a special counsel, there was nothing to find, and that they couldn't credibly manufacture it at that point, not new stuff, because Trump was in the White House and he had too many people lurking around the halls of government. So they couldn't do that. So then they turned to getting Vindman to basically leak a classified phone call, which he should have gone to prison for. That was absolutely nothing. And then using their surrogates in the media to somehow say this was a quid pro quo when you've got Biden literally on video saying quid pro quo against the Ukrainians. Then we go from there to the 51 intelligence assets who say that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, which it was not. Then we have all of the same people promoting all of the lawfare against Trump, the Mar-a-Lago raid, trying to get the Crossfire Hurricane Russia hoax documents that they thought were there, but that Trump had sequestered away. All of this is an ongoing criminal, treasonous conspiracy, and it's by the same people. Now, Megyn Kelly, who's been quite outspoken about this, but she used some words today that are even extreme for her. Check this out from known, reputable investigative journalist Megyn Kelly on this whole thing. Check this out.
This woman should be in jail.
Talking about Hillary Clinton. Let's say that one more time. One more time.
This woman should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt.
That means Clinton. That means Podesta. That means all of Fusion GPS. That means Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Strzok, Page, all of them.
She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian asset. And they banked on the intel agencies working with her to perpetuate this lie, and it appears they were only too happy to assist. That's what this scandal's about. Pieces of it we knew. New pieces are coming in by the day thanks to these declassifications. And it's downright shocking. Do not believe that there's no there there. The people who are saying that are wrong. They're wrong. What just broke today, like moments before we came to air, we're still getting our arms around it, was obviously provided to Michael Schellenberger before 2 minutes ago. And his Substack page, Public, that's the name of it, has a fantastic breakdown of what's in this new piece of information, the annex to the Durham report. You remember John Durham was the special counsel appointed.
The biggest thing that I've seen. Now go check out Schellenberger's Substack's got a lot of good information there. But the biggest thing is what I showed you that clip earlier was the emails within the members of the treasonous conspiracy that prove it was premeditated and pre-orchestrated. This was not a mistake. It was not an oops. They planned this from the get-go, and Obama was in on it. Brennan and Clapper were in on it. Clinton was in on it. That's, I think, the biggest smoking gun to go along with the December 9th meeting that we now have essentially the meeting minutes of because of Tulsi Gabbard that show that Obama said, no. This intelligence community assessment's not going to work. Go make a new one that says Trump's complicit and that he colluded. This stuff is absolutely amazing, and it has to get out. If the media will continue their denials, 100%, but they will not all win. You will have diehard Democrats who will never, ever believe anything. We're not going after them. We're never going to convince the diehard globalist, Democrat, anti-American ideologues. They will invent reality out of whole cloth to support their deluded ideology. No. We're going after the broad swath of independents in the middle and the right-leaning, quasi-conservative Democrats that are still out there, the working class, the union guys, those people. That's who we're going after. That's who we need to convince. And the fact of the matter is, the media has gotten so distrusted now. Only 20% of the people even watch them. That's why it's so important for channels like this, for channels like Megyn Kelly, for The Blaze, for Glenn Beck, for all of them. The more we report on this, the more we get this out there into the ether, into the media landscape, the news landscape, the more people will hear it, the more people will start paying attention, and the more we will draw that one segment that we need. We'll never get the hard left. They're communists. They hate America. They want to destroy the West. They're all in with the Islamo-fascist, socialist, communist, globalist cesspool ideology. You're never going to get them. No. We want the middle of the road, the independents, the centrists. We get them, the Republicans and the MAGA movement will win elections for decades. That's what we need. So please share this with everybody that you know. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with everybody that you know. If you like this content, please consider joining us as a member of the Courageous Army to support the show.